So the wood crisis.
Yep.
Now I'm going to take all politics out of this because I think people, when they start to hear a conversation about tariffs and stuff, they start wanting to defend their political candidate. So
yeah, let's not do that. We're not doing that.
I am actually going to mention names, but I'm going to do it because I want to point out to everybody, nobody is got their hands not dirty in this one. Everyone's dirty on this one. So President Trump raised tariffs in 2018, and it caused the wood prices to spike, and then kind of relaxed those in 2019, end of 2019, and then now we've got Biden proposing an 18% hike. Okay.
Yep.
I saw a meme. I don't know if this meme is true or not, but basically they showed a big pile of wood that was like this, and it was $100 worth of wood in 2020, and then $100 worth of wood in 2021, and it was like a little stack of wood, right?
That's right.
And I used my hands to show, this is kind of what it looked like versus what it looked like last year. And that was no exaggeration. That's what the meme looked like, and I sort of suspect that it's not an 18% difference. That's that's a lot more than that.
It goes into there goes into more than that, but certainly things might not trickle. You get the old trickle down economics. Things that are good may not trickle down so good, but let's say things that are bad trickle down real fast.
Yeah.
But it's like shit rolling downhill, right? But the point that I was going to make here is I love the memes where the person goes, "I've got 4 toothpicks and I know what they're worth, so don't try to lowball me on them." But but
all right.
Let's talk about them in relation to the guitar industry.
Yeah, first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. We don't use wood from Home Depot, okay?
Right.
People on this show don't write us. If you're watching on YouTube or you're find us on podcast, please do not write us and tell us. I can go down to Home Depot right now and I can buy wood at X price and build you a guitar. No, you can't.
No.
Okay? Because that is not the wood that our industry uses. We use high grade, furniture grade, like wood. All right? Beyond the scope of what you're going to buy at anything other than a wood supply place.
Well, if you're making those guitars they used for We Are Not Men, We Are Devo, you're getting them from Home Depot.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like, what the hell? Here, let me make you one out of a frying pan.
But yeah, we're the guitars that are hanging on this wall, and some of them are not super high grade. We're still buying furniture, as David pointed out. We're still buying furniture grade
or better,
higher quality or better. That's right, or better. And depending on the furniture, some of the furniture is better. Boutique, relatively boutique wood. Okay. And the other, there's a couple sides to this whole wood thing. There's also amplifiers, which I think we talked to before.
Mm-hmm. We may have actually not gotten to that topic, so we might want to cover a little bit here. But go ahead.
Yeah. And in amplifiers, of course, we just lost a bunch of them, and wood was one of the things that got burned up. Yep. Okay, because when you're building amplifiers, what are you building? You're building cabinets. What do you use for cabinets? Wood. And it's easy to stack a lot of cabinet wood. I could put a lot of cabinets in this little 11 by 11 by 11 place. Okay, so this room could probably hold hundreds of amplifiers worth of stuff in this amount of space.
Yeah.
So because it's relatively thin in its But that said, that's a shitload that got burned up.
Yeah.
Of really high quality wood. These weren't cheap amps. They're not made from your local Home Depot wood was not what was in these things.
3/4 or 1 inch ply, Baltic birch, marine grade plywood, voidless is not something you're going to pick up at Home Depot. Not the kind of stuff they use. Okay. No. And that's why people go to cabinet makers. So I'm not even sure they're all making their own cabinets. They may actually be outsourcing their cabinets. And they may just be doing the electronics production there. And that's usually the case. Like I know Tone King doesn't do their own cabinets. They pay someone else to do their cabinets because their cabinets are pretty wild looking. If you've ever seen them.
But they're going to have cabinets there when they're
Right, right. So whatever's stored there might be for what's in production, and that that might it may not be like they're warehousing it. And by the way, that facility is like really, really small. People seem to think that it's like huge. It's only 200 by 200 feet. Like it's small in your house.
Small.
Yeah, I mean it's small, real small. Like the parking lot's bigger. Okay,
200 by 200. Geez, my office is at where I work is.
It's like a shack, man. I mean. It's literally like I'm sure you've heard of this the pole barn, but like it's what it is. So the wood thing. All right. So how does this affect our industry? Obviously, prices are going to go up if there's more tariffs. Yep. It's harder to get wood. Here's why tariffs matter. We don't get our wood from the United States. People seem to think that we're cutting down mahogany and alder here and making all of our guitars out of locally sourced woods. And the reality is we have plundered most of our good wood here in the United States. So the kind of woods that we use that are like furniture grade and better, they're getting them from Canada. So when they say we're going to raise tariffs, that means your like furniture, your boutique furniture and which by the way, they use like 80% of the wood that comes out of Canada, like the really good stuff. It goes directly to the furniture industry. We kind of play second fiddle. So we're using the other, 3% that isn't bought up by other industries, like the auto industry, right? So, yeah, that's right. Wood paneling in cars, we share. So that's why I'm like looking at this. I'm going, does it really matter to our industry? Yes, because they're going to use this as an excuse, like the oil industry does. Anytime something happens, the prices are going to go up, regardless of whether it actually impacts you, and impacts the company itself, because they take an opportunity to say, "Oh, well, the expectation is it's going to be more expensive, so let's make it more expensive." They don't want to. They don't want to. They don't want to not meet expectations.
Well, if you're a pricing person, if you're in pricing, so those people that are on the back end of this stuff know that pricing is important, right? And what happens is when you do pricing, it's a weird numbering system. It's the strangest numbering system that doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense to the mind and the way people perceive value of an item that they pay for. So let's talk about. I've many times said that fenders are overpriced because it's just slab of wood, another slab of wood that are bolted together and they turn them into a guitar. I joke, but
we've all joked about it, but there's labor costs there too, and obviously that's a problem.
And I joke about it. But the thing that I'm not joking about is, okay, so you take it might not take but maybe $10 more to make an Ultra than a Pro, right?
Correct.
And so, and in the middle there are the Pro 2. There's what's the one below the Pro? The gigging one, the Performer.
The Performer.
Let's say let's say there's really less than $100 worth of stuff, and certainly barely more than 20 minutes worth of work, right, between a Performer and an Ultra. Oh, look, you've got this neck heel carve. Oh my God, that took a lot of work. Okay, a CNC machine took an extra 4 seconds to cut that out. And so we move this thing along, right? But to make that ultra, you've got to make it like, but it cost me a lot to make that. So we're going to make that a lot more money. And so we're going to charge a lot more money for it. And so they have these price schemes. And so those prices, when they make those hikes, they make them not for now, but for the future. So when you see those price hikes, if you see let's say, and I'm not saying this will happen, but let's say that these wood prices drive the Ultras up to $2,200, let's say. Because if you think about it, they could probably go upwards of 21, 22 with those, because you're looking at the John Mayers and things like that. That's in that category. So if they went to, say, $2,200 with those, and then brought up the other ones in line with that, now the perceived value has gone up, is all I'm saying. So I guess the reason I'm saying that is because it's not necessarily that the guitar itself costs $300 more to make, or to sell, or to distribute. It's that there's a whole lot of little things in there to get added up. And we, as consumers, for some reason, We love that. You ever wondered why .99 cents? There's always something. It's like, well, it's under $5,000 because it's $49,999, $4,999.99. So it's under $5,000.
And it doesn't work either. That's a whole myth thing that's been done to death by the marketing industry. Talk to some people in marketing; they'll tell you it's bullshit. They still do it though.
They still do it. That's right.
It's tradition at this point. It's tradition at this point.
It was so. I think it lands in. I remember when they had to bring the price of gas up over $1. Okay, I don't know if anybody's here old enough to remember that. The machines that they used to pump gas at the time were not digital; they were analog, and the little thing would roll. Okay, so this was the mid '70s. So when they decided to go and add that 99 cents, it was something, and I don't remember. I was a little young to honestly give a shit what it was that caused this. But for some reason, instead of being able to get that one extra penny, they had to go to 99 tenths of a cent. That's why your prices are at 99 tenths of a percent. It has to do
with weights and measures and state guidelines. And then they had to decide whether they're rounding up or down. It was like that. It was a whole debate. Like, you can actually read up about it.
They rounded down to 1/100th of a penny. I mean, you'd think that doesn't add up, but that's huge numbers in the bulk of the amount.
Yeah, at the end of the year, it's like probably $1 billion or something.
Yeah, but it's just funny to think about that. But that perception, when you go to buy gas, do you say I pay? Here's the funny thing. Do you say I pay $2.89 or do I pay $2.90? Most people will say I pay $2.89 for gas, even though they actually paid $2.89, not $0.99, which is effectively $2.90.
Correction, they paid $291.30 because they did a credit card transaction, and their credit card gets charged more, but you wouldn't know it unless you look at the receipt because they don't tell you that. And then on top of that, you got the 0.3% interest you're going to get charged on your purchase.
State and local taxes and everything. Yeah. And so if you used a credit card, that's why a lot of people still use cash. I will not stand in that line. It is not worth my 4 or 5 cents. I am not standing in line to do that. I will suck it up. It's just funny. It's funny to see the perception that we have. If somebody said to me, but you know what's funnier is when you buy the guitar, you go, yeah, I got it under $2,500. But when somebody says, how much did you spend on it? You like to puff up the old chest and go, I spent $2,500 to get that guitar. Because that's, even if you got a great deal on it, and you only spent $2,250.
I don't know.
This is $2,500
I would much rather lie to people and tell them I paid less, because then I feel like an idiot if I paid sticker.
Yeah, I'm saying that look at some of the people that do that stuff online. Come on, you don't see it in groups everywhere.
I do, and I think that's kind of a screwed up thing. Is that people attach value to it like that's a big deal. I'm not going to promote that and support that. I'm like, okay, you want to spend your money? Go right ahead. This is the practical guitarist here.
Well, it speaks to the thing I said just over a year ago, and I've said this many times. The price of used gear is coming down, and I said that once the whole COVID thing was releasing and people started going back to work,
I haven't seen that shift down yet, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
It's coming.
I got this in here. It's waiting.
Coming. I got some cash sitting aside that I've been putting aside for just that day. But yeah, we're gonna see a movement. But the price of wood, like you said, they love to pass the extra cost on to you, whether it's a lot or a little. I am sure we're about to see price hikes in guitars. About to see price hikes in guitars.
Yeah, I mean, right now, so like the brands that are spending probably the most money on woods, and you can get pissy with me if you want to, are probably like PRS. And if you look at PRS prices, they've gone up significantly in the last 5 years. A core model is now what, $3,600 or $3,700? So if we see a 10% increase in the price of wood over the next 3 years, you're going to be looking at $4,000 core models. I mean, that's and it could happen really fast.
The only core model I'm interested in is up over $4,000 already. Yeah. So it's just ridiculous. The Studio.
Yeah, it'll be a 4,400 for you when you go to get one.
I'm priced out. I'm that guy who's going to sit with 30-something $100 in his pocket and wait for that guitar to show up used. Somebody's going to need money to pay their bills or something, and I'm going to be that one that snatches it up.
You know, and that's really ultimately the thing here is like people need to realize, as a consumer, it's probably in your best interest to realize that there's a surplus of guitars laying around on the used market. Like, there are people that have like 30, 40 guitars and play one a year, and they might play 1 gig a year. And as soon as they realize that they have something attractive that is worth money because there's a wood crisis, you're going to see that stuff start showing up on Reverb. Now, the prices are going to go up slightly, but you'll have your pick of the litter, which I think is going to be really interesting to see how that actually plays out. It'd be interesting to see how much the prices go up as a result of, like, the used prices go up as a result of new values, which is a huge deal. Like, if you've ever bought a Fender Strat and then waited for a price hike and then sold it, you know that you get an extra $100 or $200 depending on how much the price hike is.
Yeah.
And the condition of the guitar doesn't change.
Yeah.
It's a hedge against inflation.
Yeah, the guitar does not change. It's interesting to see those numbers.
Yeah, because I know somebody who bought they bought a Mexican Strat a while back and they paid like $550 for it, and I was like, those are $350 new. You know, like I was just like, that was $350 new, and you just paid $500 for it, like, because the new one, the current one, is like $700. You know, it's like, wow.
I saw the Player Series prices. This is what's funny. So when I started working at Guitar Center, you guys can remember because I was on the channel, right? Started working at Guitar Center. I started working at this in the winter of 2019. Really, really, Black Friday of 2019 was my kind of initial thing, right?
As your baptism by fire.
Okay. That's right. We had just gotten that's because that's where this guitar came from. That was that's a late 2019, early 2020 Les Paul. All these things that I got for the discount were there. Anyway, and they did, Gibson did the whole, we're not going to put a year on our models anymore, which is still kind of difficult for some people to grasp. But anyway, that's a different thing. Point is, Fender Player Strat, we had them on sale under $500 Black Friday.
Yeah.
This year, okay, they just went on sale for $600 and something.
Yep.
And people were snatching them up like it was no tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it was just under $700. It was like $685.
Because they know a price hike's coming. That's part of it. Like, if you're guys like us and you're sitting here looking at this stuff and you're going, hey, my buddy just bought, and they discounted for $500 or $600, and you know that the price of wood's about to go up, like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, there was already a price hike. 2019, guys, that's only a year and a half ago when I started at Guitar Center. I only worked there for a year. It was amazing for me to watch prices. And what's funny, it was Fender at that time. I'm not saying Gibson doesn't do price hikes. They certainly do. Fender at that time was the one doing the huge price hikes. And right on there was PRS. Now, we could say that it's perceived or not value, and it's good or bad. It doesn't matter. But the point is, the John Mayers. Remember when the John Mayers came out? They were just at, what, $20.99?
Yeah, they were over that. I don't think they've had a price hike on the John Mayer, maybe $100.
They're at $2,300 now. They're at least $100 or
they were always around that because they were actually like $100 more than the CE, and the CE's only gone up $100. So I've been watching that closely.
No, I watched them. I know they went up at least 100, if not 150.
We can Google it.
But my point is that Yeah, because I know I was just in there and I said, really, the John Mayers are that much now? And apparently they're going to come up with a pink one. That's one way to do it. Let's
yeah,
let's increase prices by painting. Yep, $2,400. Yeah, and so they're at 24 now, and I want to say they were at $20.99 or $21.99 when they first came out, because they weren't really that much more, or maybe it might have been $21.50 when they first came out, because they were a little more than the CEs. The CEs at that time were under $2,000.
Yeah, they had $100 price hike, but they weren't. Yeah. They were always over $2,000. Both of them, both guitars. The CE has never been below $2,000. That's where they.
I don't know. I bought mine, but I remember I always get a little bit of a discount. But I didn't think it was that much.
No, it's right around $2,000. I mean that's. In fact, I think they were 2,000 even, like 1999 or whatever. But that's $2,000, okay, with tax, and they've gone up too. They've gone up about $250, $300 now, because I think they're $2,300 now.
Yeah, all day long they're $19.99. The CE. ZZ Sounds, Musician's Friend. Yeah, they're just under 2,000.
Yeah, but that was the CE is only 2,000 right now.
Yeah, so it's $19.99. I'm looking at ZZ Sounds right now, brand new, shop new. $19.99. Derek Cherry. I'm looking at their website.
They're $19.99 right now. I'm thinking of the semi-hollow.
Yes, the semi-hollow was. You're absolutely right. That one has been always just over $2,000.
But actually, that's interesting because the CE. No, I remember when the CE was $1,700. Just the straight old CE. Yeah.
The CE. Yep.
Yeah, and then the Silver Sky came out and it was like $2,100, $2,150. It was like right in that. Because I was like, wow, that's over $2,000. Like.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And now the CE base model is at $2,000, and the Silver Sky is up at 24. My point is they painted it a new color, and oh my God, everybody's got to go crazy about it. And it's like, okay.
Well, it's a limited edition finish, and everybody thinks that limited edition means that it's worth more money, and it's just not.
Yeah, it is. It's a perception. That's exactly right. We go into that perception of is it really that value? And Guitar Center has, honestly, I got to be honest with you, I saw it in person, and that's color wise, I thought it was cool, but this is a personal issue, or a personal preference, not a. As far as if I was going to pick a color, I can't bond with the neck on a John Mayer. I can't stand the neck, but if I was going to pick a color, Guitar Center's tungsten, which is only Guitar Center, is actually a pretty cool color. The color.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything better about that guitar. Absolutely nothing about that guitar.
Honestly,
a blue one, an orange one, a yellow one,
even if we got the pricing wrong here, let's just be real for a minute. Like, we're talking about guitars that they're not translucent guitars. Right? So, like, for wood, this is just straight old alder or whatever they're making those out of. Which I assume it's alder because they're Silver Skies. But, I stood in the store today and I looked at a bunch of PRSs and I looked at some tops, and they have a beautiful Zach Myers SE in blue over at Good Time Music, because they changed the color. It used to be Trampus green, and now it's the cerulean blue.
Yeah, I can't stand that color. I like the blue. Yeah.
The blue is gorgeous. I actually love the Trampus green as well. But I was looking at it and I was like, man, that's got to be an expensive ass veneer. And just thinking to myself, like, what's going to happen when all this stuff changes? Because you're not going to, like, okay, having the flame guitar is going to be, like, really insane. But I could see Gibson going back and making, like, non-flame Les Paul standards and stuff. Because that's the only way they're going to be able to do it and keep the price down.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot more gold top. I mean, that was the beginning of the whole thing. What a lot of people, they look at these. They'll say, "Oh, look, I got a 50s and it's a sunburst." But how come the seam is
there's
in the center?
There's no book match, and like it doesn't even look good.
It started life as a black or a gold top, and somebody stripped the finish off and put a sunburst color on there, which is fine. It's gorgeous, but They didn't care what's underneath that gold top. I got no idea. Unless I could take a sander to it,
there ain't no flame under there. I can tell you that much.
It's gold. It's gold. That's what's under there. At least I know what that looks like. And a friend of mine, way back when I bought my first Strat. So guys, I've said this before. I'm relatively new to the electric guitar community as far as like really having any knowledge whatsoever. I mean, any. And when I went to buy my Strat in 2001, I've told the story that my friend said, play every Strat you can. They're all going to play different, which back then they did. They all felt different. They all played different. The necks were not
they still do. They still do. They're all over the place.
Yeah, and I grabbed a neck I knew I liked, and the guitar I knew I liked, and he goes, "Oh, that's cool. You got a Sunburst?" And I said, "Yeah, I got Sunburst." I go, "They're all the same." And he goes, "No." He goes, "The wood in a Sunburst, you can see." He said, "If you get a black one or a red one, they don't care." It's just wood.
Yeah, I mean, they do and they don't, because they know that you'll eventually see the seam in it. But
right.
It's
what
not,
I mean is, you know what I mean. The grains, they don't care about the grain. They don't care about the beauty of the grain. Not that makes, and he even said to me, not that makes a shit bit of difference to the sound.
Right, I was just going to say, like, grain doesn't mean shit in the way it sounds. Like, that's, And
that's what he said.
So, yeah. So look for that, because there's going to be price hikes in wood in 2022 or whatever, and it's going to be awful for the industry.